Welcome back to the channel, and today we are tier listing all of Doctor Who Season 2 from 1964 to 1965. So we'll get straight into it, but just as a recap of the tiers that I'll be using, we have the Skaro Sewers down at the bottom, followed by Doctor Who, followed by Wibbly Wobbly, followed by Upgrade in Progress, then we have Fantastic, and then at the top we have Ooey Ooh, which I now realise I should have just called Doctor Who theme tune. But Ooey Ooh is what I started with, so it's what we're going with. So let's get straight into it. The first episode is The Planet of Giants. And this one saw the TARDIS team being taken back to present-day Earth, their version of present-day Earth. But, spoiler alert, they were in miniature. So I really loved this episode. It got an average of 5 in my rating system, but I just really love this episode. It was a great opener to the season. It was interesting, and all the large sets and props to make the actors look tiny were brilliant, and I really found the whole episode interesting. So this one, the only thing I'll say is that the storyline going on alongside what the team were going through, I didn't find quite as punchy. So I'll still put this in Fantastic. I think that's a fair rating for it. It just doesn't quite get the Ooey Ooh treatment yet, but I do think that it was a really good serial. And the MVP of the episode is PC Bert Rouse. The next serial is The Dalek Invasion of Earth, and I already know that people are gonna hate me for this one. I don't really like this serial much. I don't know why, I just found it a bit meh. It only earned an overall rating of 3, and there are strong issues I have with the ending, but overall I just found it okay. It is interesting as the first ever encore appearance of an enemy in the Daleks, and also the first companion leaving episode. Susan left us in this episode, and that is what I take issue with, is the how she left us. Susan and David are not an endearing love story, okay? Susan is a teenager, not by Time Lord standards, genuinely a teenager. She was about, what, 16, 17? Probably younger. She was anywhere between 15 and 17, right? She was 15, 16, 17, one of those. And for some reason, the Doctor, her grandfather, who apparently loves her so much that they've never had an argument until the Sensorites episode the season prior, thought it was okay to leave this 15/16-year-old child with a 20-plus-year-old man who had fallen in love with her. What? No! Susan deserved better than to be left there. She was abandoned, okay? This teenage girl was abandoned by her grandfather because he thought she was in love. She thought she was in love, but she's a teenager. He left her with a groomer. Who does that? David is at least 20. He's anything between 20 and 25 in this story. And he is preying on a 15, 16-year-old girl, which makes him a predator. Okay, and the Doctor is a terrible grandfather for abandoning his granddaughter and leaving her to this predator. It's not an endearing love story. I will never accept this. And on top of that, even if they were the same age, she had only just met this man. I have a lot of issues with Classic Who having the companions leave on a very, very quick whirlwind romance love story. There are some companions who leave and you don't really even see any romance going on, and they just go, oh, I'm in love with this person now, I'm going to stay behind. At least with Susan, you saw the romance with her and David develop. But again, not a real romance. It's a grooming, predatory relationship. Okay, so I may have gone in a little rant there. I could go on for longer, to be fair. But I won't. So anyway, Susan left us this episode, and the Dalek Invasion of Earth is going to go into Wibbly Wobbly, okay? It's going to go into Wibbly Wobbly. Because honestly, for the ending alone, I would put it into Skaro Sewers. I would gladly put it into Skaro Sewers for the ending alone. But we are considering the whole story, not just the terrible, terrible ending. Also, the Doctor lied to her. He said he'd come back. He never came back. He never came back. And the MVP of the episode is Jenny. So the next serial is The Rescue. And this serial introduced the new companion Vicky, who is also the MVP of the episode. I know I said no main characters as the MVPs, however, it wasn't clear that she would be the new companion until the end of the second episode when she went off with Ian, Barbara and the Doctor. So I'm counting her as a side character for this serial, and Vicky is the MVP. Also, there's only like 2 other characters, So The Rescue is a brilliant serial, and I'm just going to straight away put it into Ooey-oo. The Rescue is going into Ooey-oo. And I'll tell you for why. The Rescue is literally an episode of Scooby-Doo. It's brilliant, it's fabulous, okay? It's such a good episode. It's only 2 parts, which means it's all very concise. It's essentially the length of a New Who episode when put together. It works brilliantly. Vicky's a great character, absolutely love her, adore her. She's a replacement for Susan in that granddaughter role, except she's less screamy. She often appears much more intelligent than Susan ever did, and she's just brilliant. I love Vicky. She's a great addition to the TARDIS. And the episode was great. There was a great mystery with a sinister aspect as well. It was intriguing and brilliant. So that one is in the top tier. I love that episode. Joining The Rescue in the top tier is The Romans. So I'm just going to put that into Ooey-oo right now. Already with season 2, we have 2 serials in the very top tier. So this one also earned a 5 in my rating system as well. And it's just brilliant. The Romans shows the Doctor, Ian, Barbara and Vicky on an adventure in ancient Rome, and they stay there for quite some time. I think it's a couple of weeks that they're there before the adventure takes off. And it's just such a fun serial. It's a fun farcical comedy. It's a proper farce. I love it. It's brilliant. The Doctor and Vicky go on an adventure completely separate to Ian and Barbara, who are forced into an adventure, and they don't meet up at any point. So the 2 pairs are both taken from one place to another place by different means, and they never meet. So at the end of it, Ian and Barbara don't know that the Doctor and Vicky have had this adventure, and the Doctor and Vicky don't know that Ian and Barbara have had this adventure, all in the same place as each other, literally the next room. And it's just a brilliant comedy. It's a really good comedy. That one is in Ooey-oo because it's just such a great comedy. And also the Doctor causes the Great Fire of Rome at the end and giggles about it. So there's that. The MVP for The Romans is Tavius. So after 2 absolutely outstanding serials, we come to The Web Planet. Now, I do think that this one is overhated, but it did only get a 2 in my rating system. I don't know where to put it. I don't. The political story of the episode, I think is quite interesting, but the execution is just not brilliant. I actually do like the costumes for the Menoptera and the Zarbi. I think they're quite interesting and quite well done for the time period. I'm not going to lie to you, I actually do think they were well done. But overall it was just a bit dull for my liking. I don't know. Should I put in Scar of Suez? This is my issue. I don't feel right putting it in Wibbly Wobbly because I know how I feel about it. But the only other option after that is Scar of Suez, because Doctor Who, that's for the episodes that I don't feel right putting in Scar of Suez just because I don't remember it enough. Okay, you know what? We've had some good episodes this season, and I think The Web Planet is going to have to go in the Scar of Suez. I'll do it. Okay, The Web Planet is in the Scar of Suez because it's not awful. It's not the worst episode I've ever seen. Really, it's not the worst episode I've ever seen. But there's not enough good in there for me to put it in Wibbly Wobbly. I feel mean, but The Web Planet is officially in the Scar of Suez now, so have fun. And there is no MVP for this episode because I just couldn't find one. None of the characters in the serial jumped out at me as being individual enough as to warrant being an MVP. You had the Menoptera and the Zarbi. That was kind of it, alongside the TARDIS team. So yeah, no MVP. The next serial is The Crusade. This one shows the group ending up in 12th century Palestine during the Crusades, obviously. It's a fun historical serial, and I think the costumes were gorgeous. This one really showed off the BBC's historical costume department because it was just Oof, the costumes are gorgeous in this one. So this serial has 4 episodes and 2 of those are missing, which is a huge shame. Obviously we have the reconstructions and I have watched it all with the reconstructions, but I would love for this one to be found because it's a really beautiful looking one with regards to the costumes. And I would also love for this one to be colorized. I think this one's a good one to have colorized to show off those beautiful costumes. The Crusade got an average scoring of 4, and I think I'm going to put it in upgrade in progress. Yeah, I'm going to put it in upgrade in progress. I think it was a good serial. A very good thing about it is that it did include a multi-ethnic cast for the first time in the show's history, but obviously not all of them were shown in the best light because it's 1960s BBC. I mean, to be fair, it could be 2020s BBC, it would still be the same. But still, overall, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good serial. I just don't feel right about putting it in fantastic. The MVP for this episode is William Deprow. Prow? I don't know how to pronounce it. So next up is the Space Museum, which is the first story to depict the dimensions of space and time, and it was a proper wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey adventure, and I loved it. Season 2 so far really did pan out to be very, very good. The Space Museum is an intriguing mystery. As I've said, it's very timey-wimey, and also I love the fact that Vicky is shown to be not just a replacement for the granddaughter figure, but in this episode she's very much shown to be an intelligent character who's resolving issues that other characters are having. So she is a proper addition to the team. She's useful. She's not just there for an adventure, she's there to be useful as well. She's a great character. This story did get a 5 average score, and I think I'm gonna put it in fantastic. Yeah, I'm going to put it in fantastic. I think it was a really good episode, enjoyable, and there was a lot of intrigue and mystery surrounding how and why the characters were on display in the museum, which is the mystery of the episode. It's very intriguing, very complicated to think about. Yeah, it's a really good episode. And the MVP of the Space Museum is Tor. Next up is The Chase, which is another Dalek adventure and sees the TARDIS team being chased around time and space by Daleks. It's also Ian and Barbara's last appearance and the first appearance of new companion Stephen. I really love this serial. It got a 4 overall in average score. I love the haunted house episode and the Daleks in Manhattan before the Daleks in Manhattan episode of New Who. Also, there's a shot at the end of the first episode where a Dalek rises up out of the sand and it looks amazing. It's kind of like emulating the Dalek coming out of the water shot in the Dalek Invasion of Earth, but better. The Dalek coming out of the sand, so much better than the Dalek coming out of the water. I loved that shot. That's a brilliant shot. And I also liked how Ian and Barbara left the TARDIS. I don't like a lot of classic companion departures because they just don't feel well thought out, but Ian and Barbara's leaving I liked. It did feel like it had a purpose to it, that they were back in their own time and they were like, oh, we can just go back home now, because they were kidnapped. Ian and Barbara were kidnapped, so it makes sense them leaving when and why they did. So altogether I think it's a good serial. And I think I will put it... It did get some 5s. You know what? For the haunted house episode alone, I think I might put it in fantastic. Yeah, it's going in fantastic. The Chase is in fantastic. The MVP of the episode is Stephen. Mainly because I don't feel right giving the MVP status to the mechanoids, because I'm pretty sure they're just robots, not sentient robots. So I don't feel right about giving it to them, so Stephen is the MVP. And that leaves us with only one serial left to rate, which is The Time Meddler. So this one was much better in my memory than it was on a rewatch. It introduced us to the monk, so it's the first ever time we see another Time Lord in the show. And I quite liked the meddling monk, but his plan was kind of complicated. I don't know if I just wasn't paying attention enough on my rewatch, but I didn't understand how what he was doing would get what he wanted. But overall the serial got a 3 and I thought it was enjoyable. And I know the monk does come back in the show later on, but I wish that we'd see more of him, especially in the new series. We could have more of the monk in the new series because he's quite an interesting character to work with. Unlike the Master or the Rani, he's just someone who meddles with time. So you could easily have a fun adventure in New Who where the Doctor goes back in time with his companion and sees stuff is all awry, and that shouldn't be the way it is. This shouldn't, what's happened here? And it's just the monk messing around for profit in some way, and the Doctor and his companion have to sort it out. That would work well. It could be a fun ride, and the monk is an easy character to bring in to New Who. So I do wish that he'd come back in some form or other. But I think I'm going to put this one into Wibbly Wobbly. As I've said, I feel like I liked it more on initial watch than the rewatch, so I'll put it into Wibbly Wobbly. And the MVP for the Time Meddler is Edith. But that is season 2 complete. So overall, I think season 2 was better than season 1. There was a clear improvement in the show, and I loved certain serials a lot. My favourite quote of the season comes from the very first episode, Planet of Giants, and it's just one that makes you think, especially in the current climate of the world right now. And it's the Doctor saying, "The people that live in this house are murderers, or one of them is. Therefore, we can't expect sympathy and understanding from an insane or a criminal mind." That quote really stuck with me, so that's the quote of the season. And here are the season stats. So the most common score of an episode was a 5, and the average score was 3.77. And that's season 2 complete. Did you agree with my list? Did you disagree? Do you have a favourite serial from this season? Let me know in the comments, and I will see you next time.